Sir. Good evening, fellas. What's going on? Good evening.
How you feel?
Yeah. It's great to be here. Love the album. You have some kind of other connection? Okay.
So, in the 90s.
Not today. Not today, you.
in the
Or us.
In the 90s, when the scene was developing, it was another producer, legendary Traxter, and I would say for a certain era of what we were doing, maybe him and Twisted and Do or Die and Crucial Conflict and what we were doing with Common was like the crossover into mainstream to make a music scene versus a bubbling community, because it definitely was a community before us. And his dad worked with Traxter, and I met him, and we would get together and do certain types of music. So then later on, I was like, now we got to do something. We got to do something. So it was kind of just written in the cards. And even one day, we all sat down to eat one day, and he's like, come on, man, he's my son.
Give him $1 million.
Yeah, and I looked at him like, is this dad talking, or is this you and dad? And he just looked at me like, yeah, man, come on. And I almost, personally, this is not him talking, I felt like, man, he had a little extra trust for me at that point. Because I know just we know how the music industry is. And everybody, is on guard full time because it's a dog-eat-dog industry. And I think at some point, he let the guard down a little. But he was gonna sign somewhere else, too.
Uh-oh.
Once upon a time.
I didn't even know that. But it was Chicago was
It's like
red.
and then it was like the beat would play. And it was like a bunch of switch ups and like shit that the sample was doing and everything. And now when I'm trying to write a song to it, I'm like trying to take certain parts, like, okay, I can use this as the hook. I can use this. So I'm just like arranging it. And it started off as just me doing that. And, it's a lot of, the first pack of beats I got from him, it was like so many beats.
Is he emailing you beats?
No, I had one link. It was a master link.
He gave you the A folder.
I had one folder, and it was cool. It was before I went on the tour we did for my last album, Few Good Things. I had stopped by his studio, and he was just talking about all of these beats. Yeah, man, I made 20 this day, 130 this day. Right. It was some wild like.
Well, that's when you were doing your workouts, right? When you were like doing 30 beats a month or.
It was actually, I took 8 months off of doing music when my daughter was born. It was the first time I ever took time off. So it was right after I took it. It was almost like I was exploding. I just had to do a lot of beats.
And I felt like I was very blessed to be just
hearing what was in there.
Person in the room. Like I'm like, cause I'm not gonna lie, I didn't believe you. When he told me, he was like, first of all, No ID has 130 beats. He asked me this, he said, how many you want me to send you? 130.
Every last one.
And he did it.
It's the Unk and the OG. The OG is very open to the youth, no matter how much they know. And it gets real uncle when the elder goes, man, you know how we,
Back in our day.
It's like, no, this is not them. That's Unk. This is OG gave me some game or a perspective, so that's a thing. If you really look at a lot of things get unky quick. and that's what we can't do. We gotta, there are too many people my age in the room that gets unk. Just even the fashion will get unk. I see his hat and I'm like, okay, I got it. I'm OG.
Yeah. You have a strict no uncle.
It's a terrible thing because I've watched so many of my heroes get unctified. And I don't want to do it. I want to stay away from that.
So, did you just make unctified
I
up on the
did.
spot? Man,
I did, freestyle.
that's why you're you. That's impressive. I'm gonna start using that one, but I will give you credit.
It's a totally different setting. And again, this is like it's, to me, this is like a true collab album. That's why both our names on it. It's not just Saba produced by No ID. It's like, you know, there's a lobby in what this is. And he asked to be involved in the cover. It was one phone call. You might not even remember that, but he was like, "Yeah, man, let me handle the cover." I'm like, "Bet, say less." Where did George come into the play? I think George came into the play.
Well, let me set this bounce pass up. We were in the studio, and I was looking at photos and stuff on TV, and we got into conversation about photography because that's the thing that's kind of taking me away from trying to make my music so artistic. And I go, all right, it's never gonna work. Nobody's gonna let me. So I'll just take photos and be an artist. So he goes, I want to shoot too. So we started shooting, and then he wrote Big Picture. That's the name of the song, right?
Big Picture, yeah.
Maybe those two different names to us. So we decided to do a photo shoot cover for the album, and we were going to the Regal at first. I didn't make the trip, but somehow we were talking about legendary places to take photos, and then it kind of came into me wanting to take the shot was. Then it turned into me and him shooting each other and maybe taking something like that and finding the cover. And at some point, I think George's was one of the stops, and he took a picture with his phone. And I was like, that's it. That's it. Is that accurate, or am I missing something?
It's
Add what I missed.
Okay, so I remember how we landed on George's when you brought up the Big Picture. Okay, so Big Picture is a song that I had started in 2023. The context, my uncle produced that.
Correct.
So my uncle, producer in Chicago by the name of Tommy Skillfinger, he had stopped making beats for a long time. This was my favorite producer as a child. Like, I was just growing up listening to his beats. So that was a part of how I learned how to use equipment, how I learned, like, he was kind of like a hard ass when it came to like, just like, we would play him music and he would just turn it off and be like, I tried. Like, he was so honest. He was so honest, bro. Like, he was so honest. And that's how we got good, though. But a part of our first, like, really wanting to do this was, I want to make some music that Tommy don't like. So Tommy stopped producing, and now he back producing again. So he's starting to send me, ideas. He sent me the Big Picture beat, but it was just the sample. And I'm just like, hey, can I use this? So I use it, I write a song to it, and then I'm like, oh, I know what's going to fuck Tommy's whole world up. I'm like, I'm gonna get No ID to finish the beat. So I had a little drum idea, and I went to him like, hey, can you do, it was some drums that he had already did. I'm like, hey, can you do some similar drums to the drums that you did in this song? And, okay, that's Big Picture. Tommy passes away. Rest in peace. Because that's the type of shit that just happens when the story is getting written. It's like, yeah, you want to exist? This is what happens with existence, also as the non-existent. And my uncle passed away. It was very sudden. It was very out of the blue, out of nowhere. and we did a memorial concert for him, and George came to the show. And while I was talking to George at the show, he was like, "Hey, I didn't even know Tommy made music. I gave Tommy his first job. He used to work at the record store." He was, so to me, it had took on a whole nother meaning. And then when we had our, at this point, we was doing like a weekly, 2-3 times a week on the phone, just figuring out what the game plan for how we were going to do our album was. And when George came up, George's music room rather, he was like, "We should shoot it there." And that's how we ended up shooting it.
I think she just comes. I'm like, just come on by. I know that it's alchemy. You just put people in rooms and you just see what connects and what doesn't connect. So like taste. You show it off like, look what I got. You're not me. I got that. You don't have that. You don't even know about that. So it was just as much an expression of who you were more than was just something to listen to. And I think the internet and the structure of streaming takes that away, right? Because there is no playlist is not enough for us to own curation in a manner that speaks to who we are. So the first thing I would probably do is find a way to put all my music in a curated space that kind of makes a thesis about how I feel about music, what I'm trying to do, and what I'm trying to achieve, versus just dumping it on the internet, hoping I can get some money, or giving beats away and making. It's really. I always say this to people that I work with and represent. I go, hey, you want to get in a room with the people you want to work with. Why would anyone let you in the room? Who are you when millions of people want to be in these rooms, right? So you have to establish who you are. Because if any one of you out here had a recording deal, how many strangers would you let in the room? That many, right? You'd have to hear something to make them, or read something, or hear a beat, or who did that? What's going on? So how do we present that going forward? That's the problem. We don't really know how we're going to present it. It used to be blogs. It was just some systems of curation. There used to be record stores. Record stores used to go through all the records that was coming out and pick what they were going to put in the store, and at the front, and in the glass, and in the back, right? So the curator had to have taste. I'm not going to that store. They don't have taste. I'm going to that store. He has the good stuff. I don't have to look for it. And I think that if I was new right now, that's what I would be doing. A lot of people use a lot of cliche words of brand and overused terminology, but I'm saying curation of taste, point of view, perspective. There needs to be a better way